Thank you so much, Todd and Monroe. We are just getting ready to move over to our virtual tour. Emily and Mike are connecting. I'm in here from our command center, and I will be doing questions live. So Mike, just let me know when we're ready to go.
We're already here. I hope you can hear us.
Excellent, we can hear you. So I will pass it over to Mike Nussbaum to give us a virtual tour of the floor. Mike is, we heard from Mike earlier on the International Patient Summary panel and a member of the IHE board. Mike, we can see you.
Well, great. Well, hello, everybody. And here I am on the Connectathon floor. I just want to give a shout out to my cohort in crime here, Emily Lemus from HIMSS, who's behind the camera. So you won't see her, but I'm going to be talking to her and asking her to point out some interesting facts on the floor. Emily is the IHE USA board secretary, which and also is an informatics specialist with him. So Emily, thank you very much. And it's great to have you and I working together. So as Christina mentioned, my name is Mike Nussbaum. I'm with IHE Canada, of course, and also I'm one of the founding board members of IHE International, which has just been a wonderful 20 odd years. So we're going to have a virtual tour of the Connectathon floor, but it'll be virtual in that you're not here, because often we do these tours with groups of people, but this is actually going to be better because sometimes if there's 20 people, it's hard to hear what everybody's saying. This way you'll be able to hear and see and have an opportunity to ask questions. So Christina is standing by at the chat. If there are any questions, we'll stop after every stop here. We're going to do 4 stops, and we'll see if there are any questions live. I'll be asking some questions back and forth with each person that we interview. And, think about, one of the broadcasters on a football field trying to interview a famous football player at the Super Bowl. That's what I'm going to be doing. So Emily, I'm going to ask you to pan the room. I think it's really important for people to understand what a Connectathon is. So what is a Connectathon? It is a live monitored conformance testing of system interoperability between software products and sometimes hardware products from multiple solution providers or vendors. It involves a rigorous testing process, rigorous testing tools and test scripts, independent testers, publication of results, and starting this year, the issue of a Connectathon seal to those who are successful. Vendors who compete vigorously in the marketplace, this is really important, vendors who compete in the marketplace sit side by side and test, fix, retest, and circle back as many times as possible to verify that they can interoperate with one another. There was no other way for a vendor to be able to interoperate with another vendor, which is required by all of us in the healthcare system, without coming to an event like this. IHE is the only organization in the digital health industry that conducts this type of broad-scale testing at regular intervals and at venues all around the world. So a couple of fun facts. The first IHE Connectathon ever held was right here at the RSNA in 1999. It was set up and conducted in the basement of the parking garage. It's kind of a famous thing, and I had the pleasure of being able to attend one of those. So this then makes it the 25th year of the IHE North American Connectathon continuously, which is really important too. Since 1999, there have been approximately 100 Connectathons held around the world. That's pretty impressive. We're kind of good at this now. Countries where we've had Connectathons include the USA, Austria, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Spain, Switzerland, Turkey, Korea, Japan, Brazil, Australia, and China. And in the US, Connectathons have been held in Atlanta, Austin, Chicago, Cleveland, right here in Oak Brook, and in San Diego, America's finest city. Thank you, Todd. I'm hoping that we'll have an IHE North American Connectathon in Canada very soon. Connectathons worldwide have been held in various venues, including universities, convention centers, hotels, a boat terminal, a former convent, a former tram repair shop, and a parking garage, as I mentioned, and one year in a tent. So this Connectathon will combine face-to-face testing with virtual testing, specialized to devices and IPS. This is a bit of something different now that we've done with our Connectathons. We've decided in this one to focus on two particular domains. Primarily what you see in the room are device vendors who are here with their devices. We'll go have a look on the way down to interview some people. And then we also have a number of vendors testing virtually on IPS. And if you follow me over here, here is our IPS group. They're behind this computer and they're testing continually, being evaluated by the monitors. You'll learn a lot more about that as we continue through our tour. At this particular Connectathon, and remember, it's a very focused Connectathon. Other Connectathons have a much broader focus. At this Connectathon, we have more than 50 people in the room here, representing 10 vendors, testing 13 systems. And the testing goes on for 5 days. It goes, today is Tuesday, it goes on all the way till Friday, and it will result in well over 1,000 tests being performed and evaluated. It's pretty impressive. What we're going to do now is we're going to travel down the floor and meet a few folks in the Connectathon. Now, I'm speaking a little bit quietly because these guys are hard at work, and Emily's been able to show you, these guys sitting elbow to elbow, competitors, remember, working together to go through their tests. It's really an impressive thing. So let's walk down the floor. So follow me. So as you can see, there's lots of different groups of people. I'm not sure how they're organized. We can ask about that. But let me just say that in this particular Connectathon, this is the device world. So right here, right beside me, you look and see a device. Now, these devices, of course, can be actors in interoperability transactions. So the machine itself can be an actor in the transaction. You'll see a lot of other people working on computers. They're working with their software that interact with devices or consolidate device information. There's lots of different scenarios here, and we'll learn a little bit more about that as we talk to our vendors themselves. So our first stop on the tour is going to be the technical project manager. Let's go find him. Let's go around this way, Emily. And again, lots more devices to look at. It's impressive looking at all these devices. So here's Daniel. So let me introduce, to start off, Daniel Barazano. Daniel is a fellow Canadian. I'm so proud. I'm just going to sit down with Daniel and we'll have a little chit chat. So Daniel is with IHE Catalyst. You learned a little bit about IHE Catalyst in our presentations earlier today from Lapo, but I'm going to let Daniel tell you what it's like on the coalface, because here he is on the coalface. And he is responsible for all of the operational aspects of this Connectathon here in North America. But Daniel has lots of experience with Connectathons all over the world. So Daniel, welcome and congratulations on being the TPM for this.
Thank you, Mike. Really excited about the Connectathon. We're bringing together a lot of passionate, engaged people that are here working. You know, the event officially starts at 9 and ends at 5, but we have people showing up at 8 and leaving at 8. So you could tell the level of dedication, and then we can also see them in the lobby. They're usually continuing work. So it's great to see all these folks working together to better result in interoperability.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. We'll do this like a football interview, okay? So, I'll ask a number of questions that pop into my head, and hopefully you can provide some background. So the first thing I think everybody would like to know is, what is a technical project manager? Can you kind of give us an idea of what it takes to be one and what the role is in this Connectathon?
Okay, well, to be fully transparent, I'm actually the Gazelle the Gazelle product manager, not the Connectathon technical manager, but I've stepped into this role a little bit last minute to help bring it together. And it's been a little bit of everything. So going from figuring out where the event is, to catering, to helping with badges, to helping with rallying, the testing, engaging our monitors, bringing everybody together and making sure that the timelines work, that the tooling works, that we've got people testing remotely. So there's VPN, there's networking that goes into it. So a lot of different aspects have gone into this, and you're a little bit overseeing everything and working with the experts, the networking experts doing the VPN stuff, and the event managers helping with catering and so forth.
You can hold the microphone. So you mentioned Gazelle. We heard a little bit about Gazelle earlier this morning. In a nutshell, we're going to hear about how Gazelle is used from one of our monitors that we're going to introduce next. But so what is Gazelle? How long has it been around? What does it do? What are the functions it does? And why is it so critical in a conformance testing event like this to have a really robust tooling?
Good question. So Gazelle is a test bed. So it doesn't do the testing for you. It helps you figure out all the tests that you want to do with the various testing tools. So we're using tests from the NIST here with devices, but we've got other tools from MITRE, other tools developed in Europe, such as the fire testing tools. And Gazelle is this platform that helps you go to the test tool, bring the logs, bring them back in here, and the monitors can then verify all the tests in one place. And you've got a nice checklist of what you need to do and what you've done and how well it's been done. And it stays. So after 10 years, we still know what you've tested and what's been tested and how it's been proven that it's been tested that way.
I just want to remind everybody that with each person we interview down here, you have the opportunity to ask questions. So in my ear, I have Christina Caraballo, who's going to tell me if there are any questions being raised in the chat, and I'll pass them on to our interviewee. So, you have
say
more.
about
Good.
the Gazelle. So Gazelle's been around for 15 years. And last Connectathon in Europe, we had the founder, Eric Poisseau, that was with us and talked to the community about the tool, where it started and where he likes where it's going and what the additional things are. So it's a wealth of experience that comes into this tool. And I'm glad you asked the question. I didn't answer, so I added that on.
Well, it's a really important piece of this. And again, IHE brings a lot of things to the table. One is products in the way of integration profiles or implementation guides, as we've heard, but it's also processes and tools. And it's really important to highlight the fact that one of the things that sets IHE apart is this process and this tooling that has been around for a very long time. And it's so great to see it embellished and enhanced every year as it does to always reflect the changing needs of the digital health industry, the types of tests that are being performed.
Indeed, lots of additions have been complementing the tool over the years. There's a lot of rework that's being done right now, and it's important to note that the tool is a testing tool that enables peer-to-peer testing. And so remember that they're testing one to another. There's only so much testing you can do with simulators and validators, but you'll only get so much better by testing with other peers. And this is what the tool allows.
Okay, I'm going to go down another pathway and let's ask you a little bit about IHE Catalyst. So it's a fairly new organization as IHE Catalyst, but it's been around for quite a number of years in other forms, supporting Connectathons and other events, mostly in Europe, but also around the world. Tell us what IHE Catalyst is today and how important it is to the IHE and, in fact, the entire digital health community.
Okay, so IHE Catalyst, the way I see it, is the operational arm of IHE. IHE creates all these specs, and then as part of the testing, you need to have people on the ground putting these events together and being very, very methodical in what we're doing. And we're testing the IHE methodology here as well. But then this methodology, I think Lapo mentioned it earlier, is being used in many, many countries where they're creating projectathons. And the same methodology and tooling is then adapted to do much broader testing. And then Catalyst steps in to help them. You can imagine when a country decides to do a conformity assessment program, they don't want an open source software that is not supported in any way. They want a contract for long term to have support and to make sure that it's running 24/7 and that they can count and make changes to it as you would with any sort of software. So Catalyst helps do that. And being Catalyst, we also do some of the education and help bring experts with people that want to use these standards.
Thank you, Daniel. We have a question now, I understand. So I'll listen to Christina and she'll tell me what that question is. The question is, what tools are used to test fire-based profiles?
Okay, so we are using something called Art Decor right now. I'm not the expert of Art Decor. It's a third-party tool. It's made by a group in Europe. And they essentially take your IGs and then they're able to validate and test them. And then we integrate, they're actually the first ones that have integrated the API where it's now, so a message would go through our proxy, we would log it, it would go to our Decor, it would validate it, and then the result would go back into Gazelle, and then the monitors can see that the validator is happy with that. And then we can further inspect some of the details, whether it's the right patient ID and things that are more specific. But that's one of the tools that we use. And then there's also MHD testing that goes through the NIST tools.
That's fire-based also.
That's also fire-based,
Right.
of course, yeah.
So a myriad of tools.
A myriad of tools, yeah. There's also PixM, PDQM tools. So there's a bunch of tools, but this was a good question, but
well, the key, I think, is that Gazelle is a platform that allows the integration of whatever tools are considered important to do the validation testing. And that has changed over the years. And it's also changing now with the modern systems that we see out there, such as are coming forward with fire. We have one more question. Christina, I'm listening. It's a fairly long question. So the question is really about the open source aspect of Gazelle and how it's accessible, how it may be accessible to potentially a vendor to use or anybody to use, and how, what's the access point in order for those that want to test to get familiar with Gazelle, use Gazelle, deploy Gazelle, or work with IHE Catalyst and others to participate in Gazelle. How does that kind of ecosystem lay out?
Okay, so the Gazelle started as a INRIA project, which is a university-based project. And right now, the repositories are still with INRIA that's been sponsoring the repositories for a long time. So you can have access to the INRIA. So you make a request to have access to the repositories. And then from there, you can download and install Gazelle. We have a number of firms that use it internally to do their testing. And we, on the gazelle.net website, we actually have user manuals that's built in with the tool and deployment manual as well that explain how to build and install so that you could have your own instance of Gazelle running in your environment. And if you want to participate, so we've had actual community meetings that happened in Rennes. And we are ongoing with the test and tooling meetings provided by IHE. So you can join those meetings. I think they're the second or third Thursday of the month. We'd have to validate. And from there, you can interact with us and help build parts of it and contribute back to the test. So our partner, Caravel, has been maintaining Gazelle, the core Gazelle. So to integrate new tests, they'll make sure that it's up to standard, that there's the unit tests, that everything is functional with the rest of the infrastructure. And then that would be integrated into the base code afterwards, available for everyone else.
You actually answered already the next part of the question, which I had in my ear. So the next Connectathon that's coming up is in Trieste, Italy. And all the Connectathons are managed in exactly the same way with the same tooling. So any firm or any organization that wants to take part, Danielle has provided some excellent advice as to how to engage. Again, we will respond to the questions in our follow-up and get back to you with very specific answers. We're very happy to answer these questions. I think it's time now to move along, Daniel. I got it. He said I could call him Dan, so that's good. Dan the man. Thank you very much. You've been you've been great, and congratulations on this event. And I look forward to seeing you at all the events. You're a busy boy. Okay, Emily, let's travel. So let's go down here. It's very narrow. And we're going to go down. And so on the left here are the monitors, and they're busy doing their monitoring work. We'll learn more about that when we talk to Lynn, who will give us the monitor perspective. She's standing in the sunshine right now, as you can see. Where would you like to sit, Lynn? Would you like to sit here? Okay, that's good. A fireside chat. So let me introduce Lynn Fellhofer. Now, what can I say about Lynn? I've known Lynn probably for as long as I've known IHE. We started at the beginning of time, you and I. Lynn is probably the most expert person at Connectathons that I've ever met. There's a lot of experts out there, but you're one of the greats. You just take the compliment. And
It just comes with time.
as it does for all of us. So Lynn is going to give us the monitor perspective, and I'll ask you a series of questions and help enlighten the people that have never been to a Connectathon before. And what does a monitor do? So let's talk about that question. What does actually a monitor do? How do they do their work? How do they become a monitor?
So let's start at the why we have monitors, because that informs how we recruit them. So the monitor's responsibility is to be to bring their expertise and provide neutral oversight and evaluation of the tests that are performed.
So there's no bias in the testing. You have third-party evaluators, essentially.
And in fact, to qualify to be a monitor, you have the expertise that you bring might be from standards development, or it might be from a clinical setting, or it might be from a specific specialty. And we have really all of those represented here. What disqualifies you as a monitor is to be part of the vendor community or in that space. So like if you're a competitor or in the same space as someone who's sitting in this room, you do not qualify as a monitor. So we have neutral experts taking a look at the results of the tests that are performed.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. Let's just take a shot down here. So can you highlight kind of your monitor community that is along with you today?
Yep. So on the far end, you met Daniel, and he's actually not a monitor, but he oversaw the recruitment. Next to Daniel is John Rhodes, and he is the technical manager for the devices domain. So he is the person who wrote the test plans that are being performed by many of the participants here, and is in the end the oversight as far as who passes and fails during the week. And we can talk about passes and fails as later on, but he defines the tests. Next to him is Nicola, who is a tool developer from the National Institute of Standards and Testing, NIST, in Washington, D.C. So the evaluation of the messages that are exchanged here is overseen by Nicola's expertise. Next to him is Inessa, who comes from Germany, and she
came all the way from Germany to be at the North American Connectathon.
Well, and her background is interesting. She started as a vendor, and years ago, she sat in one of these chairs and performed tests, but now she has, in advancing her degree, gone into standards development, and that is actually working in a hospital. So she brings real world expertise that sometimes doesn't come from people who sit around and write standards, and we really need that balance, and we've got that here. Matt Blackman he's like probably the best testing expert we have here. He works for the Sequoia project and has lots of standards. So he works with IHE technical committees, as well as real world testing and validations of standards in the testing realm.
He works with D.D. Davis, I guess.
Yep, and he's the best troubleshooter I know. And then finally on the right here is Nicola, and he comes from IHE Caravel and is a lead developer on the Gazelle testing platform. And I mean, it's an extraordinary mix of expertise that is overseeing the testing that we have here.
And you, of course, also have a role.
My role, I have expertise in the IHE radiology and IT infrastructure domains, worked for a while with the eye care domain, and actually have been leading sort of the test part of IHE since 2005. Um, But,
That's
um,
why you only look 29. How could that be
well,
possible?
well, that's, well, and so the role that I play and the role that John plays is to work with the tech committees during standards development, the profile development, and then translate those requirements into the test plans that are run here. So how can the vendors who are implement these in their product demonstrate that they have an interoperable product based on the
Yeah,
standards?
so that's the next thing I'd like to get into. So we heard a little bit about Gazelle and it's, it's a tooling infrastructure. How is Gazelle used by the monitors and what constitutes a test? You have a standard that's underlying it. You have test scripts, you have test data, you have some kind of scenario you're trying to work through end to end. Just go through that with us.
Right, so a test really actually is intended to demonstrate a use case within a profile. So interaction between perhaps a sender of data, a creator of data, and a consumer of data, and maybe a manager who sort of manages
Or
the
a device, piece of hardware.
a device that puts those. And a test really contains a set of instructions that these vendors and participants perform, and the Gazelle platform sort of is a dating, one of the roles that is a dating thing. Like if I'm a consumer,
Swipe left, swipe right.
yeah, who are my potential partners? And the vendors here have quite a bit of latitude about who they test with. We as monitors don't manage, like say you test with you now. They perform the tests on their own, and when they think they have successfully accomplished the use case, they change the status of the test in the tool, and the monitors have a work list that allows them to select the test, evaluate, look at the evidence that the vendors have collected within the tool, and then perhaps have them demonstrate a few tests or look at the logs or evaluate the message, look at the tooling output. All of that is captured in the Gazelle platform and becomes a permanent record of what happens during this week.
And this year includes a seal.
And this year includes the seal.
So we're running a little short on time. So I'm going to take a question that I've just had
Of course.
made note to me. So go ahead, Christina. I'll pass the question along. So the question is, what profiles are being tested at this Connectathon, in which domains? And there was a question, is there a radiology profile being tested? I can answer for you. I know that's not happening, but
Not this week. So there will be IHE radiology profiles tested at the Italian Connectathon as well as others. But this week, the profiles are primarily in the IHE devices domain. And then also the international patient summary is being tested by people both here and in Europe. So we have actually international participation to test that. In fact, even in the devices domain, we have international participations who are I don't know if you've talked about remote testing.
yeah.
We've been able to do in-person and remote testing this.
So again, just another plug for the myriad of Connectathons that go on around the world all through the year. And the next one is in Trieste, Italy. And as I mentioned, and for those of you who are interested in testing in other domains, they will publish the domains that will be available for each particular Connectathon, and you can sign up.
Right. And each region determines which domains are relevant for a specific event. And this one happened to be a primarily device focused event, but there will be devices testing offered in Trieste, and if you decide to test there, you will be performing the same tests that they're here. It's equivalent testing at every region.
So Emily and I have to hit the road. Thank you very much for your insights, Lynn, and it's so great to see you again. And I'm sure we'll see you at the next one. Okay, Emily, let's find our way. We're going to now visit a couple of vendors. Luckily for us, they're sitting side by side, but they're from two different competing companies. Interesting. So our first stop will be with Tom. So we'll get ready to talk to Tom. I'm going to bring a chair over, Tom, if that's okay. Okay, so I'd like to introduce Tom Kowalczyk. Kowalczyk. Look at that. Got it right the first time. So Tom is with a company called B. Braun. He's going to tell us a little about that. And my first question, Tom, is what brings you to this Connectathon?
So it's all that we're doing with Connectathon that leads into the HIMSS program. We've been doing this for 10 years. Actually, Bebron's been doing it for probably 20 plus years. Personally, more like 10. So this is the place to really do all of the TCD transaction verifying, all that kind of stuff with EMRs, EHRs, with alert alarm management systems, as well as RTLS, real-time location services. And that's mainly in a hospital situation where you've got hundreds or thousands of devices talking to EMRs and everything else. All that communication goes back and forth in a seamless way. And the only way that can be done is with standards, so that no one's doing proprietary things and you have to redo. It's pretty much almost all done, and maybe there's some final minuscule tweaks that you need to do at the end of the day. But it's only those small things that need to be done, instead of doing everything all over again. It's just too costly.
So I'm going to just put you on the spot a little bit. So you're from B. Braun. That's
Yep.
B. period Braun.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're based in, the company's based in Germany. So the reach is global.
Yes.
Where I want to focus in on is two things. First of all, how do you feel, working next door to one of your arch rivals, a competitor that's trying to beat you out for the same types of product? And then related to that is, what's the importance of being interoperable in order to be able to sell your product in healthcare, and how does this kind of event support that?
Right. And again, what I mentioned earlier about the proprietary versus standards. If each of us did it in our own way, that means we have to redo it for every vendor that we connect up to. It would be just horrendously costly for everybody involved. The good thing is the people here are generally engineer types, so we're not really the sellers. Although we know there's competition, we certainly want to sell ours over others. But twice a year, like every week, we've got hourly meetings here and there, that kind of thing. But then twice a year, to really get everything together, we have these face-to-face meetings. Next one's coming up in April in San Diego, America's finest city, as you said. So we'll be there for about a week, talking about the various types of profiles that we're working with. Again, the auto programming and some other stuff that we're doing right now. So it's a different paradigm. For a lot of other industries, you couldn't do this.
Yeah.
But with here, I think we've got to be very good friends with our competitors, because we're competing, but we're not competing. It's a good environment.
So this is one of the fundamentals of IHE and the conformity assessment, or the testing part of IHE, which is that interoperability, being extremely important in the industry, requires collaboration. So there's no way you can be proprietary about interoperability. You have to be able to interoperate with others. On the other hand, you compete with those vendors. So if I can summarize, you kind of come here as friends, you work together as colleagues, and you leave here as friends, and then you go out and compete in the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And certainly, again, I mentioned that we're mainly engineering here. So we don't really have that face-to-face marketing, sales kind of thing. There's certainly, need to be maybe more cutthroat than we are.
Yeah, but you're here at the graces of the marketing people.
Absolutely. And if we didn't sell anything, we wouldn't be here in the first place. So absolutely, you can't discount that. Yeah.
Oh, thanks a lot, Tom. I didn't mention that Tom is also a co-chair for the IHE devices domain, so he has a few different roles. And again, these domain committees that create the profiles that they're testing are put together by volunteers like Tom, come from vendor communities and user communities to collectively, again, collectively create the standards that are necessary to achieve interoperability. Are there any questions for Tom? Christina? No questions. So with that, Tom, I want to thank you very much, and good luck with the Connectathon testing. We're going to go down and meet one of your competitors right now. Okay. And we don't have to go very far. I'm going to bring my chair. Eldon, nice to see you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Eldon Metz. Eldon is with a company called Innovation Medical. I'm not familiar with this company, so perhaps you can start with telling us about the company.
Okay, so Innovation Medical is headquartered in Maryland. Our office is in Baltimore, and our focus is to simplify medical interoperability. Specifically, our vision to start there is that medical devices and their systems would be near plug and play. So when a medical device starts up, for example, it would be able to discover the systems that it needs to send the data to. Alarm systems, medical record systems, even other medical devices that can leverage that data and optimize their therapy. All of this, so the right decisions can be made, the data is in front of the right person, and the patient outcomes can be improved.
So let me summarize. You're kind of an integrator that allows devices to work together or work with ancillary systems, and you provide kind of the infrastructure for that to happen.
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, our mission, going from our vision to our mission, is to provide components that actually make this happen. And those components come in 3 different forms. We have embedded software that can actually go inside the medical device to make them a first-class interoperability client. We also provide a cloud-based solution, so those devices can be managed from anywhere at any point in time and receive their security updates. We also provide external hardware. There's a large number of installed medical devices that have proprietary protocols, and we can, on the edge of that device, transform it to be a compliant interoperability client.
So you work with your arch rival over here, who's your buddy Tom, who sells pumps, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship between the things you need to do to achieve interoperability to fulfill your vision for your company. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit now and just talk about your motivation to attend a Connectathon. Why is a Connectathon really important in being able to further the development and sales of your product?
Great. So I think there's 3 major reasons why we believe a Connectathon is very valuable. Is our customers and customers of our customers want to be assured that we can actually talk, that we can actually connect and integrate with some of the, pretty much everybody here. And this is a great place to come and prove that. Second is when there's issues, this is an awesome place to actually just walk across the room, figure out what those are and resolve it. So when the first customer deployment happens, or even the 3rd and 4th, as these standards evolve, it makes it really smooth. It greases the skids. The 3rd is we're actively, some of us here, moving these standards forward. Technology advances. We find better ways of doing things to make it more seamless and plug and play. And IHE is doing a great job of that. But when we're here, there's synergy. And so we talk about these things and we improve the specs as a result.
So when you do that, does that feed back now into the specification development and enhance the standard itself? So are your learnings here fed back into the process?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm leading, along with my competitor, the point of care identity management one, where where medical devices and other systems will always know which patient is associated with which device. So the data is always stamped accurately. And we are going to we're meeting here and in the working groups next week, we will be taking lessons learned and sharing them and advancing that forward.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Eldon. I'll just see if there are any questions for you from online. Okay, we don't have any questions, so I wanted to thank you very much and congratulations on being part of all this and good luck. I hope you get your seal.
Thank you.
Or seals. Yeah, so I'm going to just get Emily to follow me over here. I just have a couple of closing comments, and I'm going to do this fairly quietly because people are really working here. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today on behalf of all of us who have worked on this Experience Day program. I think we've covered a lot of ground. We had an amazing group of presenters today. One of the best group of presenters I think I can remember in recent memory that have come together to talk about all the things that are going on. And I hope it was worthwhile of you to attend. Again, this is all going to be made available in various ways, recordings and materials. It'll all be sent to you. So there'll be lots of follow-up. So I wanted to thank you for joining us and for being part of this. The virtual tour is kind of something new, and I'm glad we were able to do that. I hope you got something out of it and got a sense of what a Connectathon is all about. We hope to be able to do this again. A couple of announcements I'd like to make. So first of all, HIMSS is coming up, and you heard already a number of presentations that were going on around IPS at HIMSS. It's coming up March 11th to 15th in Orlando, and there will be an interoperability showcase there, which will highlight a lot of this interoperability that is being tested here, put together in terms of real stories that you can actually follow and make a lot of make a lot of sense in your clinical environments. HIMSS 24 is also in Europe, May 29th to 31st in Rome, Italy. And there will be an interoperability track there and an interoperability showcase that we're very excited about that. That's something that we haven't had for a while, and we're really glad to bring it back. IHE Catalyst is going to be helping put all these things together. And then the next week down the road in Trieste, Italy, is going to be the HIMSS 24 European Connectathon, again powered by IHE Catalyst, and that will bring together a similar group of vendors and participants, probably in a broader context. And watch for the announcements on that. And for those of you who may be interested in joining the next Connectathon, you've got lots of time to do that now. So get online, Google HIMSS 24 European Connectathon, or sorry, IHE European Connectathon, and you can be part of all the action. Next year, there will be an IHE North American Connectathon. We have a date that will be February 3rd to 7th, 2025. The location is still a closely guarded secret, but it will be made available to you as soon as we possibly can. So put that in your calendars. So on behalf of the group, I'd like to, and Emily, thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who participated, all our speakers, all our presenters, all our moderators, and all the people behind the scenes that have made this a really successful event. I'm sorry we ran a little bit over, but hopefully it was worthwhile. On behalf of us all, I'll say this will close the session, and hope to see you next time.
Well, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to thank our participants here today. You can see the wonderful vendors that we have joining us today. I also want to send a special thank you to Chris and Jamie and RSNA for hosting us here at the IHE North America Connectathon, and to our partners, IHE Catalyst, who have powered this event and really brought a great group of vendors and participants and talent with our monitors, as you met on the tour. And then I will also thank IHE USA and IHE Canada for the close collaboration in bringing you the experience day, as well as the support I get from my lovely organization, HIMSS. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon at the multiple events that we have coming up, and please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are.